Hey YouTubers. A couple of weeks ago I installed these panels on my deck. So made by Nichiha. I bought from Menards. So they're like 18 inches by 6 feet long, and they interlock, and they're fake brick, and they're made from this kind of stuff here. So this is a piece of one of the panels. So you see it's got a beaded edge here in the overlap here. And I went through the process of installing these, and I recorded the steps I took, roughly took, and so I'm gonna put them together here in a little video for you. Show you how I did this in case you're interested in doing it. The manufacturer has an attachment system, which I did not use because mine was kind of a unique install. So I have a combination of some pictures I took before the walls went up, and then as I was putting it up, that I'm gonna show you here in case you're interested in putting these up. They make all sorts of different panels to go around a foundation, to do a whole wall. I mean, buildings are done with this stuff. You can say it's, I don't think I showed you, but it's in some of the other shots it shows it, but they're fairly thick. Half-inch, 3/4 inch thick, heavy. They feel like kind of like backer board you use to go behind your tile in a bathroom. So and very strong stuff, and I used a kind of a customized system for putting them in, but I think it looks pretty good. But I'll show you that now. Let me quickly zoom down here. So this is my deck right here, and I started putting the panels on yesterday. So I think it's called Nichiha. I don't know. It's Nichiha. These panels come with I bought these through Menards, right? And they come with a mounting system. It's like a track and clips mounting system, and you're supposed to, or ideally, you have a backing that's made out of the stuff that's similar to what you put behind tile. So some kind of fiberboard, cement board, and then you mount the mounting hardware to that, and then you mount the panels. And one of the reasons I got these panels is if you look over here, the back of my house is common brick, right? So I painted it gray. So I wanted something to match that, right? So I'm actually going to paint these panels, even though they look pretty good. But I thought, people might be interested to see how I did this. Again, so what these are is, and I bought these through Menards. They were like $45 a panel, then I got a rebate. And I actually bought one panel too many, because it ends up, when I did the last panel over here on this end, I had to cut off the right side of the panel, and that ended up being enough for me to put it over here on the second row to start. So I'm actually only going to need 2 more panels to complete the entire length here. So I actually have a panel extra. I don't know if I'll try to take it back or if I'll just keep it, because I might use this to go around the base of the house, and I'll put a picture of that in the video so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is actually the stone that I'm looking at covering with those panels all the way around the house. And the reason I like those is because they're really thin. So I have that lip. I have the lip underneath the siding, which I'm going to end up painting right here. That will kind of, this lip right here it will be good if I attach the panels to the stone. I don't want the panels to stick out past that lip. So I'm thinking maybe I'm going to get a hold of the manufacturer and talk to them. There might be a better application, I don't know. But if I were to use those panels, the thing I'd have to do is probably put something on here first, like some sheetrock or something, and secure that, and then secure the track to that. I don't know. Then I got to figure out how to go around the windows. So something to think about. I don't plan on doing this till the next year or the year after, but I really like that. And then the original owner of the house put this little porch on here, and he used this brick. So actually, initially I looked to see if they had panels that matched that brick, so I could continue that all the way around. But honestly, I don't really like that. The houses around here I've seen that have redone the base have used like a fieldstone look, which I think looks pretty cool. And there's a couple other different ones that might look good. So what I would probably do is is just change this out right here to match whatever I put around the rest of the house. Those panels that I just put on would be perfect here because I got a little lip here sticking out that would more than cover this lip would more than cover the thickness of those panels. So I could just put them on the same way I just did. You know, just screw them right to the brick, right to the mortar joints. I don't know. Kind of brick. You know, so you've probably seen them before. It's relatively inexpensive. They're pretty durable. There's a lot of ways to do it. I really like their product though so far. So I'm gonna put this on the tripod here, and then what I'll do is I'll mount that panel up, and then so you can see kind of how I'm doing it, and then we'll go from there. All right. If you look right here, you got a bead and a step down, and then it matches up with the panel right here. You see you got a little edge right here that sits right. It sits in there, and there's an edge on the bottom that sits right here, and they lock in really nice. In fact, I can show you. Pull this out of the way. I can show you where the bottom ones lock together, and it looks pretty good, right? I mean, you can see a small crack there, but it looks pretty good. And I'm going to paint the whole thing gray anyway to match the house, so it doesn't really matter, right? And what I decided to do to mount this stuff is I've countersunk, so I used one of these. This is a masonry drill bit. I think it's probably a 3/8, right? To drill a hole about 1/4 inch deep, and then I used a smaller drill bit. I don't know, it's probably a 1/4 inch drill bit, or I don't know, yeah, probably something like that. To drill a hole in the center, and then countersink the heads of these torque bit screws in that hole. So you can see that, right? And it held it pretty good. And then what I did is I put some glue on each one of the studs. I'll show you how I did one, but I put some glue on each one of the studs, right? And then I cut the end of the panel on the end here. I basically just cut the end of the panel straight, so it took the lip off. And I don't know if I'm just going to caulk that or if I'm going to put some sort of molding on it. I'm not really sure. And on the top, the same thing. I don't know if I'm going to put like a corner round molding or just caulk it. I haven't quite decided yet. But then what I'm going to do with these holes is I'm just going to mix up some mortar. Seeing as I'm painting it anyway, I'm going to mix up some mortar or some kind of cement, some kind of fill, and just go through and fill these holes and just rub them with my finger. And ultimately, when I paint it gray, it should match that wall over there and look pretty good. I hoped to line them up, the grout lines, but I wasn't able to do that. I would have had to cut off too much of the one panel, and then I would have not had enough panel to get to this top board. So I wanted the panel to get a 2x4, or this 2x4 top. I wanted the panel to be secured to this 2x4 top, so I had to account for that height, right? So I'm going to put the camera on a tripod and kind of just put up this one panel real quick so you can see how I did it. And then, okay, so before I put the panel up, I just wanted to show you what I did real quick. So where the seam's going to be, and I don't know that it's required. I mean, these are really, really stiff panels, but where the seam is going to be, I put a 2x4 sideways, and I basically just put some 3-inch screws into here, and then put one screw here to hold it up against the panel, just so when they overlap, you know, the seam will press really good on this and stay nice and flush like the other ones did. So I just wanted to show you I put that in there, and wherever they meet, you would probably want to do that. So like wherever they meet on a stud, if you noticed, like this one here where it met on a stud, I didn't want to try to split the stud, so I just took a 2x2, a piece of 2x2, and put some 3-inch screws in to hold it in there. So down here when I split that, you know, that way I could, and I glued it, obviously. I told you I put some glue on there, and then that way this one overlaps and it gives it something to push against, something more solid, I think. Okay, so before I can put that up there, I have to cut off the top lip to line up with the other panel. So I'm using a diamond cut blade for that. It cuts really easy, makes a lot of dust, but it cuts really easy. So you can do it wet or dry. I'm just doing it dry. So real quick, I got to cut that, and I should be good to go. first thing I want to do here, so I'm not sure if this would avoid the manufacturer's warranty, but probably. So it's kind of a two-person job, although because they're a little bit heavy, but you can do it by yourself. Not that big of a deal. So the main thing is to try to get it sitting on this back shelf before you push it up, and getting this this cutout here overlapped with this bead. Pretty straightforward. I mean, there's no other way to do it. If you had two people, it'd probably be a little bit easier, but it sits in there. I'm going to slide it down. And they are a little bit pliable, so they can follow. If your deck's not completely flat, it will kind of follow along. So. Make sure I can hit these studs. Easy. So what I've been doing is putting one on the top row and one on the bottom row, not at the very bottom, on each panel. On each stud. Seems to be more than enough. Like I said, these are really stiff. Put one here, so. And I'm drilling, if you can see this bit, I'm drilling basically to the bottom of the cutting edge of the bit. So, probably 3/8 deep, something like that. And then once I get the one screw in to hold everything, then I'll go back and drill all the primary holes and then the pilot holes second. I'm just looking to make sure it's as tight as it can be against this panel. It is. So I have it's going to rock a little bit on this spot here, but I'm going to go ahead and put this one in and then rock it over there before I tighten it up. And what you can do is get a block of wood and you can tap it on the end here too to make sure it tightens up. Just going to tap it a little bit. You don't want to crush that end. I'm not putting these in super tight. I'm just snugging them up. There shouldn't really be any need to put them super tight. So I do have a little bit of a gap down here. Like I said, I can fill with mortar. So the way they designed this is pretty cool. You can hide most of the mortar cracks after the installation, so it's kind of nice, except where they meet on the ends. But you stand back just a few feet and you really don't see it. So it's not like it's a big deal. So that's about it for putting these panels on. I'm going to go ahead and finish drilling these holes and securing this thing and then putting the last panel on, following the same process. But that's how I did it. And again, they have a system. They have a clip system for mounting these things up that the manufacturer designed. And depending on your application, that might be the right way to go. For me, I didn't really want to, I might use that when I do them around the house or a different type altogether. But what I was doing, I figured this would be fine. It needs to be watertight, and I'm pretty sure it's watertight. Whatever, I'll put a nice bead of caulk on the top, more than likely, to make sure no water gets in there behind it. And then I'm going to paint it to match the house, so it should look good. Good stuff. All right, so it's been about a couple weeks since I finished this, since I took, I did the video of putting up the panels, and now that I've seen this for a couple weeks, I've decided I'm not going to paint it. My original intent was to paint it gray to match that back wall, but then I'm painting the deck gray, so that would have been like too much gray. So I kind of gotten used to it. I kind of like the contrast, the white, and I got the wood frame, the brown, and the brick, so I'm going to leave it. So that means I had to fill the holes. So what I did is I went out and I actually did a couple things, but I got this stuff from Home Depot. It's a mortar repair, and it is gray. All right. I've already done a couple test fills, so it comes out actually the consistency of like mortar. I'm guessing it. I didn't look, but I'm guessing it has silicone or something in with it. And I did a couple holes. You can see I did one there, and it's a pretty good match. It just did a little while ago, so it matches pretty well. So I'm going to show you how I did that. And then I also decided just to use. I bought this stuff, which I really like. It's also from Home Depot. It's basically just to go around windows and siding and all that kind of stuff, just to caulk. But this stuff I've used it a couple times, and it's really easy to work with. I really like it. So I decided just to put a bead along the top here, and then I smoothed it out with my finger. But I've used it in a couple other places, and even after a year, it doesn't change. It really holds up really well. So anyways, I did a bead down there, and that's probably all I'm going to do. I was thinking about putting molding here, but I kind of like that. That's simple enough, really easy to do. So, and then what I did with the mortar, because I ended up with about a 1/4 inch gap over here where it met the wall, and I intended on using caulking there, but I ended up just putting the mortar in there, and it looks pretty good. It looks like a mortar joint, as if it was a real brick wall. So I'm really happy with that. So I'll show you real quick how this stuff goes on, in case you're interested. It goes on really simple, side by side. Now this one, and the way this brick is, it's got remnants of mortar in the brick, even though it's fake. But I mean, and so it doesn't really have to be perfect, but it comes out really. I'll show you the consistency. Really easy to work with, and the one I did already, it's still wet, so I don't know how long it takes to dry, but probably not that long. But it has a if I can show you, it has a square tube, so it's really made. If you were like, this is made to do repairs. So if you have a brick home and the mortar's starting to decay or crack up, you would chisel it down. Maybe they say no more than 3/8 of an inch. So you would take the old mortar out, and then you would just go along with this thing and just fill the mortar hole. And I would probably use another tool to finish it, but at any rate, pretty easy to work with. So I'll show you real quick. It's pretty simple. Yeah, they say don't go any more than 3/8 of an inch. When I did where the brick met the wall, it was a lot more than that. Oop, that came out there kind of quick. So I went through with my vacuum and I sucked all the dust out of each one of the holes. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now what I found works really well is to just, and it comes off with water, so if you get it too much on the side, you can just use water. But it's really super easy to work with, and as it dries, it actually almost matches exactly the right color. So I'm really happy with it. Super easy to put in. You don't need much. And then, I think I said already, but you let it dry, and you can actually come back once it starts to get really closer to being dry. You can finish it off. You can use a brush, and you can take little bits of it out of the brick. But the way this is made, it's it'll look more natural. Actually, it depends on your application, right? So if you have a real clean brick job, you'd want to spend more time making sure it's cleaned up nice. But that's how easy it goes on. We do a couple more now. I actually have a couple places where, get the camera right in there. But I was saying, if you have a wet rag, you can wipe it off, wipes off with water. So it's really super easy to. It's not the best caulking gun in the world. It does come out of there in spurts every now and then. So right here, I have a seam. So I actually already did one part. So I'm thinking of possibly filling the seam with it. See, it gets, every now and then it gets like stuck. Like it's, so you got to squeeze it and then it comes running out. So it's kind of lumpy inside the tube, I guess. So yeah, I'll probably go do and fill that seam. Obviously I won't fill it here, although I could. And then I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use it on the bottom and create like a fake mortar joint all the way along the bottom where it hits the wood, or if I'm going to use caulking. So I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm really happy with this overall, to just fill the few holes that I had to make. So I'm going to go through and fill them all like that. I mean, it looks really good. And obviously, from a distance, even better. Because I have a couple holes that where I didn't hit a stud that I got to fill that are a little deeper. Really happy with it. I think it looks great, this stuff. So I'd recommend it. But like I was saying, down here at the bottom, I'm not really sure yet if I'm going to put a caulk joint down there, or I have to put something. Even though this is treated wood, I don't want to caulk. I kind of really don't just want to caulk it. So I'll probably go along and put a bead of this all the way down there. Sticking to my fingers. Anyway, I wanted to show you that. I hope that was helpful if you're looking at putting these panels up in my kind of application, or even around your house. I am seriously thinking of putting this around my whole foundation. I really like the look. I might not get this brick style. They come in all sorts of different styles, like fieldstone and that. I might do that. But so it's pretty much finished up. I just wanted to show you the end product. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll be happy to answer it. All right, later.